In the first quarter of 2004, the solar eclipse was a normal solar eclipse. It is very common that such an eclipse does not occur. But day by day, this solar eclipse began to increase in magnitude. Within a short time, it became 17 times larger than the Earth. Scientists named this eclipse Active Region 3664. This second solar eclipse began to disappear from the solar system. This is why the sun's rays are slow to reach the Earth's surface. These rays can be harmful to things like the moon. In fact, during this period, in the last month of October, the sun was able to create a huge solar eclipse in X 9.0. This is the most popular solar eclipse of the year. This is a story about how the sun comes into the Earth. That's why some places in the world are affected by radio waves. All of this is said to be one story. That is, the sun is above its solar system. If not, it is said that the solar maximum is still in the sky. Now the direction of the sun's solar system has changed. Even though the sun cycle is above this line, NASA has calculated it. What does this solar maximum mean? And what are the forces we have? That's why we're going to take a look at some of the reasons why solar heat has increased. So, let's get started with today's video, right after the end. During the 11th year of the sun, changes are made to the sun cycle. We call this solar cycle the solar cycle. Wakey. Dot. In this cycle, the change of the sun affects the Earth as well. At this time, not only does the sun's magnetic field change, but also its visibility changes. This solar cycle was first studied by humans about 18 centuries ago. During this solar cycle, the sun's radius increases, and as it rises, it decreases again. There was a time when the students of Tharaka studied how to reduce and increase the sun's rays and realized that it was due to the chakras. In the beginning, such students only studied how to change the sun's rays. After they had mastered it, later on, along with them, there were students who came up with a few more reasons. There are three main reasons for this. The first one is the sun's magnetic field. Our sun is a plasmatic particle with a plasmid atmosphere. The direction of the solar system is constantly changing, which means that it is changing by 180 degrees. The north-south shift happens above the solar system, i.e. at the solar maximum. This helps in the middle of the cycle. The other reason is the complete activity of the sun, which also changes with the solar cycle. The takeoff and the swim-off. This is how the activity of the sun changes when it enters the atmosphere. Due to COVID-19, the health of the species is deteriorating, and the sun's rays are also decreasing. This is similar to how the sun rises when it is at the top of the sun and sets when it is at the bottom of the sun. This is how the activity of the sun changes when it is at the top of the sun and sets when it is at the bottom of the sun. After studying the sun chakra and understanding its functions, we have come to a point where the chakra is not in its normal state. It is still difficult for scientists to come up with an explanation for this. From these 2 days, the first thing we find is that before the sun chakra was discovered, the first news about the solar eclipse is from 1745. In 1715, which was the 70th year of the last year, there was no increase in the number of solar eclipses. The average solar cycle has a magnitude of 10. The period between the middle half of the 17th century and the middle half of the 18th century was a period of time that was colder than the rest of the world in terms of growth and climate. This is called the Little Ice Age. This period corresponds to the period of the solar eclipse. This period of time has been observed by scientists since the beginning of the solar cycle. This period of time has been observed by scientists since the beginning of the solar cycle, from 1790 to 1836. Although the period is not as wide as the previous one, there is still less activity than normal at this time. At this time, the temperature is still low compared to other periods of the world. In the year 1716, the Europeans and North Americans were defeated by Greece. At that time, Greece did not receive the supply it needed for its territories, so it was in a state of disarray. In the year 2008, the fourth solar eclipse began. The sun is a weak point in the solar system. In this cycle, the number of sunbeams in a year is less than the number of sunbeams in a century. With this cycle, scientists have been trying to find out why the solar system is changing over time. And in this way, they had a great need to find out whether the solar system is still active and whether it is changing over time. The current solar eclipse started on December 19th. Scientists suspected that it could be worse than the previous one. They were completely wrong. On August 24th, the solar eclipse was observed at 300 degrees. This is more than twice as big as expected. This is the largest eclipse in the history of the year, and its magnitude is much higher than scientists thought. We expected this increase in April 2025, so we expected the solar eclipse to be about 115 degrees. But remember that increase. In mid-2024, for example, when students searched, they found that the solar eclipse was more than 170 degrees. Now it has increased even more. NASA has just announced that the solar system is moving towards the upper limit. In the next 2 to 3 months, we may see even more sun rays. In other words, the activity of the sun may increase even more. Scientists are now saying that the solar system may last for about a year at the upper limit. Within a few months, we will have a chance to meet the most popular solar planets. There is also a mind-blowing aurora. You can see it. Some of the most famous suns have been strongly exposed to the Earth, but some of the exposed suns have been active for a long time. The most famous sun we know is the Carrington event. It occurred on September 1st and 2nd, 1859. Because of this sun, telegraphs started to fly in North America and Europe. This is how telegraphs started to fly. In recent years, some telegraph operators have had an electric shock, and telegraph machines have been operating without a battery and other keypads. This is the origin of aurora, and some Caribbean planets have also been spotted in the north. After this incident, there was a big story about the solar system in 1921. At that time, the solar system that spread to the Earth was called the New York Railroad Storm by the Americans. This is the 20th century. We are facing the youngest and most powerful solar system. At that time, we were happy. There were no moons in the sky. The Earth had a limited electronic system. That's how the solar power came about. The railway station was the first station in the United States, so there was a price to pay for it. And that's why the railways in the United States were closed down. So, after the destruction of Chandrika, we had to go back to the famous Surya Kunatu in August 1872. We've been talking about this for a while now, and it's been a while since we've done something like Apollo 16 and Apollo 17. There was a time when the sun was at its lowest point on the Earth. When the space-time from the sky came in between, they were about to be destroyed by a destructive attack, according to the explorers. Some of the bombs in Vietnam at the time were destroyed because of this. In 1989, the Earth was hit by a powerful solar storm. As a result, it was hit by a large-scale power outage, causing a global disaster. A group of 6 million people, 9,000 in total, were trapped in the dark without electricity. There was no electricity supply, causing the transformers to be damaged. This is why it is possible to cause damage to the solar system. Scientists have developed a new safety mechanism for the electronic system of the world. Very recently, that is, in the first half of 2021, about 40 Starlink satellites were damaged due to the strong solar radiation that hit the Earth. In comparison to other satellites, we have developed a new safety mechanism for the solar system. Solar storm is to add another cover. Sometimes, due to solar eclipse, the value of $1 billion may be lost, and the world's electronic devices may not be able to function properly for a short period of time. A phenomenon like the Carrington event happened today. The amount of damage that could have happened in the United States is estimated to be $2.6 trillion from $2.6 trillion. Finally, let's get to the most important question. Can the sun's activity increase the Earth's temperature? The short answer is, the smell is very much like that. In the activity of the sun, as the sun increases, the sun's energy on the Earth also decreases slightly. Likewise, the Earth's temperature does not decrease from the temperature of the sun. Especially because of human activity, the fact that the temperature of the Earth is increasing dangerously is not the only reason for this phenomenon. If the temperature of the sun increases, there will be huge problems in the solar maximum time limits around the world.